In this episode, I wanted to talk about Paul allegedly saying that homosexuality is against nature. Now, the words that he uses is paraphysin, and Svartvik writes that it would be a mistake to interpret that to mean nature's law. Instead, it's about their interpretations of their observations of nature in combination with their customs, their culture, and so on. And even homonegative denominations say that when Paul is talking about accordance to nature, he is rather talking about what the tradition was at the time. At least when it comes to the following passage. In this series, we're going to analyze every passage in the Bible that people use to try to argue against homosexuality. And we're going to look at why I and so many Christians believe that the homo-friendly interpretations make more sense. Now, I want you to realize that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is man, and the head of Christ is God. Every man who prays or prophesies with his head covered dishonors his head, and every woman who prays or prophesies with her head uncovered dishonors her head. A man ought not to cover his head, since he is the image and glory of God, but the woman is the glory of man. For man did not come from woman, but woman for man. Neither was man created for woman, but woman for man. Does not the very nature of things teach you that if a man has long hair, it is a disgrace to him? But if a woman has long hair, it is her glory, for long hair is given to her as a covering. What kind of logic is that? He says it like case closed, when in reality, he presented arguments that he just found in his ass. First of all, men are also given long hair. So how does hair growth in any way prove that long hair is a disgrace for men but not for women? And lastly, about every man who prays and prophesies with his head covered dishonors his head. Where is the logic here? There is no connection between the two. He just somehow manages to convince people of that by using the same word twice.
The right hand of man is woman. So if man touches his penis with his right hand, he has cheated on his wife. Good news to Lefty.
So, Paul isn't talking about what is against or according to nature. Now, as a side note, I just find it so interesting that people just pick and choose whatever fits them when people use a biblical person to try to argue against homosexuality, but then completely ignore the words of that very same person by not preaching those sexist messages or what haircut people should have. Where are all the people protesting men with long hair? Let's take a moment though, and just for argument's sake, say that Paul is talking about what is against nature. Then what else is against nature? Svartvik writes that Jesus' teachings about going the extra mile and turning the other cheek goes against natural urges, making the point that Christianity itself is against nature. And what about all the electronics that makes our everyday lives easier? And is it medicine against nature? Creating an artificial hip for a person so that they can walk again? Should we get rid of all of these things? No. Of course not, because it would take away a lot of good. So we all have reasons to believe that against nature isn't necessarily bad. One interesting thing that we haven't investigated yet is that some actually question Paul's authority. Some say that he speaks against the teachings of Jesus. There are pages listing all of the times where he contradicts Jesus. And what stands out to me is that Jesus taught a lot of equality, while Paul, especially in these passages, definitely does not. And if he actually says that gays should be put to death, then it seriously goes against one of the 10 commandments, that you shall not kill. And it also goes against one of the core values about forgiveness. So, if Paul isn't really talking about nature, and there are even examples of him contradicting Jesus, then what is he talking about? Well, Svartvik writes that what Paul means by physis is simply that which he considers to be right. So that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.